Oh, there we go. Sorry, I got the, oh, that's awful. It's just not good lighting, not very good lighting. Sorry, guys. This is the only place Delilah would settle down, so she's in my lap currently. Oops, I don't know if you can see her. Oh, I got the phone in the way. There she is. There she is. So, anyways, it's just it's just a lot. You know what's really crazy is I was going through my phone, going through the images and trying to go back to the beginning, trying to figure out what we missed, just bringing everything kind of, when we get so far off course, you have to go back to the beginning and start the process all over. So I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime here. We're covering the case of Sebastian Rogers. We've taken this case in depth. We continue to cover this case as we are try to find the whereabouts of Sebastian Rogers. The great news is FBI has stepped up to the plate and is providing a $50,000 reward. Guys, I'm so sorry my lighting's not better. I would put it over here, but she's sleeping in my lap and I can't move at the moment. They're like children, they're like children. When we have a child, when you get when they sleep, you let them sleep. You don't touch them, okay? I'm just learning, okay? I'm just learning. Hey guys, Stacy, Outer Banks, it's nice to see you. Hindsight, Karma's mom, Natalie, Southern, Kendra, Donna, Stephanie, it's nice to see your beautiful faces. So we're just trying to get back on track, all the hate for so many months has just been so distracting from Sebastian Rogers, so distracting from our core values of trying to find answers. And people have been sending me bridges. Thank you. Don't stop. If you see something, please send it. Send it. Send it. Send it. This is our next project. Is the bridges. I think all the bridges in and around the Sumner County area got to be cleared. I'd like to personally preview them, but we'll see. We'll see what happens on Tuesday. We'll see what happens on Tuesday. Hey, Seth, it's nice to see you. It's nice. Oh, Paralegal Liz up in the house. Paralegal Liz up in the house. Sandy, Kendra. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Karma's mom, Joanne. It's nice to see. If I missed somebody, please forgive me. Mama Bear, everyone. I'm finally playing catch up all day, LOL. Was halfway through the last one and finally caught a live. Yay, Mama Bear! I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you. Paralegal Liz. Good gracious, can't speak. Don't we have like a Murdaugh thing coming at the South Carolina Supreme Court? Should we do like a meetup? Depending on the date. Depending on the date. I feel like I got court cases coming out. Like I've had such a boring life, all this excitement. I don't know what to do with it. I really don't. Good evening. It's nice to see you. Yeah, I was reading. Ginger Bell got me this. I don't know if you guys were here. I went to go find out about a $75,000 thing, and then when I went into the email 4 minutes prior to that, I had a delivery at the door, and it was the snake. Oh, I forgot to put the snake boots on. God burn it, Rennie! You forgot to remind me to put the snake boots on this morning. I'm gonna have to do it tomorrow because I can't move. So, anyways, I was reading this. I thought today's was pretty interesting. I wasn't. It's one of the I love the language of letting go because it seemed to always say what you needed to say. You don't expect, especially things like this. You don't expect them to be, like you hear the gospel and there's a lot of words and a lot of different books, but this one, just like literally the first page that I read, it was kind of neat because it felt real world, it felt real world. And this is called Jesus Calling. Enjoying Peace in His Presence by Sarah Young. It's beautiful. It's got this leather cover on it. It's gorgeous. It's nice. But I did read September 3rd. I'm in kind of dark, so it's going to be kind of hard for me to really read it, but it is larger print. I appreciate that. It is larger print. But it was talking about like all the technology. Where was it? Where was it? I'll just read some. Um, the complex world of instant communication, our social media. So I thought it was pretty interesting that this is kind of new world, real, like, 2024. I like it. I like it. We're going to start reading that in the mornings. We're going to start reading that in the mornings. Hey, guys, I don't know how many of you guys came in while I was chatting. Hey, Alicia, it's nice to see you. Shar, it's nice to see you. Deanna, Brianna, Lover. Oh, Lover Lakes, it's nice to see you. Hen House. Oh, we got the hen house. Now we just need the rooster. Then we're going to be egg lady. I need to stop. So when we're going back to the beginning, I'm sorry for waking you. Good gracious, can't wake the baby. Jeez, Louisa, she just gave me this look like, you want to quiet down there? Oops. This is where all my notes are. This is where all my notes are from the very beginning. I remember when I first previewed this case, I'm not lying, true story, when I first previewed this case and started listening to the first round of interviews, I made a list of questions that I really wanted answered, and kept following all the interviews to see if those questions were answered. Now, some of the questions technically were answered, right? We did get some clarification. It took a while, but we did get some clarification. But the other stuff, I didn't. What is this? Oh, that's all that crap. This out of here. Oops. Thank God that can wasn't open. I got. Oh, don't fall. This probably was not a good idea. I didn't realize there was paperwork in there that didn't need to be in there. So I was thinking, everybody's kind of gotten off the rails, with the attacks, the bullying, the, just nonstop, just craziness, and it needs to be reined back in because this is such a distraction to Sebastian. This is not helping anything. I'm bitter. I won't lie. What happened to me has got me pissed off, and I'm bitter. But there's a time and a place for that anger and animosity, and it's not the time or the place right now. So we need to get focused back on Sebastian. We're starting to make some headway. People are starting to think outside of the box and send me some good intel and good information about bridges and reasons why they think these bridges are good bridges to search. So I'm really appreciating that. Please keep sending those over. But it also reminded me, when things get off the rails in these cases, and we've been doing this for a while. This is not the first case that has been littered with problems, littered with hate channels, that are just caught wreaking havoc in cases. And that's what I believe. I believe Sumner County was trolled. I think they were trolled out the wazoo. It's just. I don't know, but I don't care. That's not the topic of conversation. But it's not the first time, and every time we're met with this kind of attacks, we have to go back to the beginning. We have to go back to the beginning because all of this gunk is now in our heads, right? All of this gunk that of all the drama, now everything is so confused. We forgot things from the beginning because now we have all this crap in this side, and we forget things. Even things that we may have had a several day discussion on. We forget those minor details in the case. So it's always good to go back to the beginning. And so I went to this and I wanted to read some of the notes because these were notes that we took back. This is not the first time I read it. Go back several months and you'll hear me read this again. And it just has some notes about a lot of stuff, such as, the mom says she's getting updates daily. I wonder how long those updates are going or if they're still continuing. Katie gave an interview over the weekend. 2 PIs were hired by Seth. We know how that turned out. Not very good. Sebastian's army is strong. Those were just some notes I took. But where are the rest of my, okay, here it is. So I'm looking at what are the questions that we have and going back to the story that we heard. And we didn't really learn a whole lot until the Chronicles of Olivia. Oh, thank you, Casey Face. Welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club. And guys, forgive me if I'm not looking at you because typically the phone's in front of me. I'm holding my folder in my arm because we've got a very prissy little girl that decided to sleep. Thank God. So we don't want to disturb the beautiful puppy's sleep. Metal Lass, it's nice to see you. Nice to see you. And everybody else that I missed and didn't get a chance to say hi. BJ Boop, it's nice to see you. Mama D, it's nice to see you. Everybody else, my mod squad, I'm glad to see you guys all up in here. It's nice to have everybody. So, one of the things is in the Chronicles of Olivia interview, this was kind of weird because we had already heard a few people, like Duchess, her interview with Chris and Katie, I don't think really got a whole lot of attention until the story picked up because I didn't even know Duchess had an interview with them. And I didn't know she had two of them because I didn't know who she was, you know? I never met her. I've never heard of her before or anything like that. Or if I have, I haven't heard about her in a while. You know, I didn't recognize her by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think I've ever watched any of her content prior to this. And so I'm looking at the interviews, and what prompted me to look at these interviews is because Chris McDonough, you guys know I a major Chris McDonough fan. I don't really care if he's a fan of Bullhorn Betty or not, but I'm definitely a major fan of Chris McDonough. And Chris McDonough had Steve Johnson on. And Steve Johnson was doing the green shirt interview that was done by WSMV. And the reason why he was doing that is because that was the closest to the time of events that they knew about. Just like me, I didn't really know about the Duchess interview, but due to the spreadsheet that was posted early on, I downloaded it, and it had a list of all the interviews at that time from Seth to, Chris and Katie. And I never heard the grandparents or any other family give an interview. It's only been Seth or the mom and the stepfather. So I started going through there, and of course I stumbled across the Duchess interview, the very first one. I think it was on March 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. I could be totally off. I know it was early March. But it was before the WSMV video. Interview rather. And so we did a live and we compared the two when we heard the subtle changes, but we didn't hear major changes in the story. I mean, the 3-3, there was clarification, like the time she went to bed, which really just blew our mind at that point because her being on the couch in the Duchess interview, she didn't talk about any of the studying. It wasn't clear. It just wasn't clear. It added more questions than it answered questions, if that makes sense. So what do I mean by that? Because it was hard to follow. So it sounded like Duchess had a conversation with the mom and stepfather before they went on the show. And so she has, I'm pretty sure, probably maybe a standard form or just, it sounds like she's been doing this several years. So she might just have, just want to know, boop, 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 boop. I kind of have a standard form of information that I want. Yes, that I do have forms and lists and everything else, because those things kind of keep you on track and make sure that you're doing the same thing for the cases that we dive into this deep, like the Idaho 4, Alec Murdaugh, Summer Wells, Gabby Petito, where we're really boots on the ground and really doing investigative reporting. We have forms, so we don't forget something, And so I have to think she has something because she was asking some questions. She had some answers to questions, And she made some statements like, so Sebastian went to bed at 9, and then you went to bed shortly after that at 10, and you woke up right before midnight and went to bed at midnight. And she said, yes, went to sleep at midnight, obviously, or something to that effect, something like that. Do you guys remember that? And that was right before Chris interjected and said, I want to be crystal clear and make sure we're really transparent. Me and the mom had a lengthy call around, and it's already been cleared and confirmed by law enforcement and TBI and everything like that. And he says, we had a phone call from 9:43 or 9:46, and we were on the phone. And then he tried to work in her story about falling asleep on the couch at 10. Do you guys remember that? Okay. Well, it wasn't until Nancy Grace, that studying and reading a chapter for her class at DeVry, came in, which even caused more problems. And we already had some confusion with that statement over from the Duchess interview. And then we go over to the Nancy Grace interview, and things are added that weren't added before when it was over analyzed on that show. But the key ingredient was Olivia's interview. When Olivia interviewed, do you guys remember there were people added to the story? So we had like two interviews, I think, before Olivia's interview. Just two. If I had maybe three, maybe the Hands interview was done before. I think the Hands interview might have been done. Now, did I dream this, or did Ellie say the light video was a trash trucker? No, they never. That's the weird thing. Law enforcement has not publicly come forward and said it was a trash truck. If you guys remember how that all went, is Katie and Seth were the only ones. Maybe I've got him mixed up with a different time he went there. I think he only went there. I don't know how many times he went to Sumner County Sheriff's Office. I remember the one where him and the mom were in, they did the proof of life video, and the stepfather was not there. So I thought they were going to be getting some, wow information, it being just the mom and the father. And that was the proof of life video. But I believe it was that time that they tried to squelch the light video. And I do believe that they may have showed them a video or told them, this is just, I have never talked to Seth about this, or Tony, and I don't know if Tony would even know, because I think it was before Tony's time. But they either showed him a video or just told him what to say. Basically said, look, guys, I know you're hearing about these lights. It's nothing. It's a trash truck, and left it at that. But it was Seth and Chris in Olivia's interview that stated it was a trash truck. We've never heard from law enforcement what those lights are, what they believe those lights are. As a matter of fact, Eric Craddock said to Nick Barris that it is it is of no evidentiary value. And I think he even went a little further. I think he may have asked him. I don't know if he asked him or not, point blank. But I remember him saying, do you think it will be in the future? And I can't remember what he said. I don't want to misspeak. But there was a little more to that conversation. But if I had to go back, and I'm pretty confident, like 99%, I'll say 98% confident, that has never been uttered from law enforcement. The trash truck has only been stated by the family members. And it was after the family members went to Sumner County Sheriff. So they either showed them a video of a trash truck, or they just told it was a trash truck and they just took it as true. So I hate that some people are turning on Seth now that they're were not before, saying Seth is the only one who is trying to debunk, was the only one trying to debunk the lights video, because it might have been of major evidentiary value, you know, and he might have been very angry that it was released. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think this is his kid. Now I don't know if that, again, I'm speculating on what Seth is thinking. I haven't talked to him about any of these. I'm just thinking from my own personal, you know, who I am and how I would think. And it would be, you know, in all fairness, if, you know, things were being leaked, you know, or maybe he just didn't like the hype, or, you know, maybe the father and the stepmother blew a gasket. It seems like it's pretty easy to do. I need to find that video. I seen that. I heard them all saying it came from LE. I'm sure I heard that. Yeah. I don't think LE ever said it was a trash truck. As a matter of fact, I think Seth, Nick, and the stepfather may have, I don't know. I really don't. I'm unsure. Hey, everyone, can't tag driving. Okay, well, thank you. Oh, Pebbles, it's nice to see you. Hey, Love Bug, I hope you're doing well. Me and you, hindsight? They didn't. Okay, yeah, I didn't think they did, because I'm sorry. This is my thing. I just don't see Miss Bobby having a dog in the fight. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see her trying to trash the family. You know, I think she has some information, and I think she was very concerned. I think the whole thing with the stepfather being in the middle of the road, I think it shook her. It shook her a little bit, you know? And I think she felt the need to want to get things off of her chest, because you have to remember, she talked to law enforcement, and law enforcement wouldn't answer her questions and wanted to argue with her about something she absolutely knew to be true. And I think it kind of worried her a little bit. You know, there's a lot of things that in this case worry me, okay? And I think that's why she wanted to break her silence, is because they were, I think it offended her that she was being lied to, and she knew she was being lied to. That's just my opinion. You know, I don't know that to be true, but that seems like the sentiments. I gotta put I don't know why I keep taking them off. I can't read without them. I think that was my sentiments, her sentiments, you know, when she was giving the interview. It seemed like it was something like that. TBI and LE didn't even show Seth in person, the footage at the Speedway gas station at Jackson, Tennessee. Maybe it was Sebastian. I don't know. I know I heard about that. It looks like it would be in, you know, the ride. But getting back to this, when we get to I'm sorry. When we get back to Chronicles of Olivia's video, this is when it did change a little more. And I don't know why. It was 2 aunts and a cousin were added to the picture. Do you guys remember that? In the Chronicles of Olivia, we could probably listen to it. It's not a very long video. Hold on a second. Let me see what we got here. But we didn't hear of these family members that day on any other interview, and it kind of took me back. Or maybe we heard. We'll have to go back and listen. But for whatever reason, I feel like we hadn't heard. Of the cousins and the aunt prior to this. Wish there was an easier way. I just need to save it. Give me a second. I gotta try to find. There we go. I don't know why I can never find it. There it is. It was on 3/18. It was about 20 minutes long. We're not doing 20 minutes, I can tell you that. Because everything I need is in the first open link. Is in the first 10 minutes.
In today's video, I interview the mother and stepfather of Sebastian Rogers, a 15-year-old who vanished from Hendersonville, Tennessee.
Hopefully you guys can hear
on
it.
February 26th of 2024. He vanished and hasn't been seen since.
Although he doesn't like to be dirty, it's kind of funny because he also doesn't have awareness, because if you look, he's got chocolate milk on his face because he didn't wipe it off at breakfast. It's funny like that.
His disappearance, kind of walk through that day.
Oh, I guess I can turn around.
Sunday, the day before he went missing, we got up and, fun fact, I made breakfast that morning. We had a good time. We were laughing, we were joking. He talked to family on the phone during breakfast to brag. We went and picked up our niece. I got a call and
Right there.
asked if I could go and pick her up, and I did. And so we went and did that. We went to BJ's. Had a good time there. He
So that's what I was talking about. So right then, when they started adding the niece and meeting up with another family member, that was all new that we had not heard previously, at least to my, for my understanding. And so by that, I started taking and analyzing the case and made a list of questions. And it's like, the two aunts and cousins, when were they present, from what time to what time? Like, it's so vague. It just seems like so much happened this day, the day before, so much that Seth feels that it was, overstimulating. And many of the parents believe it was an overstimulating day based on the limited facts we have of that day. But we really don't have the details. We don't have the, what happened when they came home from BJ's. They came home, they put away the snacks. Were they just hanging there for a while? How long were they there? Which door did they come in and out of? Because there's some, we just listened to the interview on Smiley's World, and they talked about two doors being the only doors he could have possibly went out, but one, he doesn't like the noise. Noise is a factor for him. So, it seems to me that they always pull in and pull out of the garage when he's with his mom, because she's driving him and the car is in the garage. I don't believe it would be normal and customary, at least we haven't heard from any of the neighbors, where he goes out the front door and waits for his mom to pull the car out and gets in it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the garage door would be the most that he exits it out, comes and goes from, because he really doesn't come and go. Again, going back to the neighbors, they knew of him, but they never saw him. That means he wasn't going outside a whole lot. So, what was the demeanor like that day? We've never gotten those answered. When was the trip to BJ's? We don't know. I think they said they went and picked up the niece around 11, but that doesn't really tell us how long they were gone. Were they gone an hour? Were they gone 2 hours? Were they home by 2? Were they home for 4 hours before they went to the bowling alley and went to eat food? Did anybody come home with them? There's so many questions that we've never gotten any answers. What door did they leave out of? What time did they arrive to the bowling alley? How often did Sebastian and KP bowl? We learned that in at least this trip, It doesn't sound like they were bowling. It sounds like they were playing video games. And I believe that was in another interview with Katie. Yeah. So we don't know what time. All we know is what time they left the steakhouse, because that was on video and that was what we understood Seth saw. What time did they arrive at home? When did he take out the garbage? Right? This thing, I was, it's one of those things, like, we've learned over watching them, watching their behavior, watching what they say, seeing them on all these interviews. We learn that they let only very specific information out that they want let out. Everything is very, very vague. So what was the need to tell the whole world that Sebastian took the garbage out that night? Out of all the vague comments, all the vague, statements. Well, we went to BJ's. What did you do at BJ's? What were you looking for at BJ's? When did you get the colossal popcorn? I figured as much. Those are questions I have. Real questions. I think we did get answers as to what they ate. Did anybody? And I'm sorry if I'm missing a lot of people's comments. Hopefully everybody's communicating well tonight. It's nice to see you all. For all those people, Tulips, Lady 7 Up, Judy, me and you, it's nice to see you. I'm so sorry. At Betty, what if he never left the home? Yeah, Seth is at work on camera during the time Sebastian went missing, so that told me automatically he didn't have anything to do with this, and that is a fact in this case, and facts don't change. Hey, Tough Love Bug, it's nice to see you. No reason to mention the trash if you weren't provable by a witness or a camera. True. But there's a lot of stuff that was witnessed from the camera that they failed to tell us. Why did they make sure they told us about the trash? Was that supposed to be their proof of life that he was there? Maybe people were I don't know what's behind it. But it just seems like it was something that I don't think any of us would have asked, who took your garbage can out? It's not a standard question that I would have for someone, so for them to answer it, it's like everything, when you look at this thing and you go back, it's like everything that they've answered and they were specific about, there was a reason why they were specific about it. So I can't figure out the garbage can. Why was it so important that they let the world know that Sebastian took the garbage out that night? I have never seen a mother not be hysterical. I know, we're not even going to go into that. That's been the drumbeat of this channel from the beginning of this case. It was just, I've seen parents, listen, parents do grieve differently, okay? They all grieve differently. The difference is they're grieving. You know what I'm saying? I'll leave it at that. But anyways, getting back to that, I could have sworn somebody said that they found out what everybody ate. Is that true or not? Do we know what was eaten that night at the steakhouse? I didn't have a break that night. Wow, so you worked all the way through, and then you got off work and your whole entire life flipped upside down. I'm so sorry about that, Seth. I really am. 3 times a day. Does anyone know anything about the laptop? I don't know. We're going to get, the computer stuff came in much later. I'm not, Sebastian has salmon. Sebastian had fish. He had salmon. Okay. Do we know what was eaten by? Was there any clarification on the whole table? Do we know what the other party was eating? If we are lucky, we get a 15-minute break. I don't know how you do it. You know, I remember when I had to work, I had to put patches on. I was a very private smoker. I did not smoke cigarette, and like nobody in my office knew I was a smoker. Um, Love, Liddy, it's nice to see you. Just hearing about that. Sebastian has Santas at night. What's Santas? Well, you would think because his scent would be on it, or possibly put LE in a landfill. Yeah, I don't understand that either. Were there friends there? This is the first time hearing about it. Like it's been so like I don't get into the rumors that can't be corroborated, and it's like, we're hearing that somebody's computer is being taken, that, Sebastian got in trouble for being on a computer at a poker match. Like I don't, from everything I've learned is Chris was not there all weekend. Wasn't there all weekend. So I don't know how this poker game went on where everybody got in trouble. I mean, it seems like they don't really do much, but I don't know. I also wanted to know, was anybody at the house? Did anybody come with them at the house after the stake? Did anybody come over later that night? Because they arrived at home at like 6:30, 6:40, somewhere around there. And she says Sebastian didn't go to bed until like 2.5 hours or so later. What did they do in that 2.5 hours? I got my folder laying over Delilah. She's probably ready to kill me. We know we got one answer. Did Sebastian change his clothes during the night or during the day? And when he got home, it sounded like when he left the restaurant, according to that one interview we just heard on Smiley's World, he was wearing tennis shoes, jeans, and a long sleeve shirt with a graphic on it. And when he left the house, he had no shoes, the like Adidas white stripe pants, like the tearaway pants, like Magic Mike would have, but not tearaway, but that style. And a long sleeve black graphic shirt. So it sounds like it's so we did answer that. It does sound like he did change. But we still never understood what Sebastian's state of mind was throughout the day. We didn't understand, we didn't know what his evening routines, and still to this day, 6 months later, we still have no corroboration that he even brushed his teeth because those things were omitted in the stories. And we don't know around what time he changed his clothes from the clothes he went to dinner with to the clothes that he went to bed in. So, and did he drink anything, And this brings me back to a comment that Chris had said about him being a bottomless pit. Did he have any food or drink after arriving back home from the Texas Roadhouse Grill? So we had a lot of questions that weren't, it was just detail questions, behavior questions, trying to find out what type of mood Sebastian was in, what type of environment was going on around him that day, who was around him, what were they doing, was anybody inside that home that, maybe Katie forgot about or something like that, Is it possible? Not only that, but with the keypad. There's two different kinds of keypads. Okay, there are keypads where you need to punch the code in to lock it, and you need to punch the code in to unlock it. Okay? There are other ones that you just need to punch the code in on it to unlock it, and you only have to push a single button to lock it when you exit. So even the lock mechanisms on how that would work, I don't have an understanding of, because there's so many different lock mechanisms. Would this be a one punt, just a one button? Or because I know how loud mine is, right? Locking and unlocking the door. It goes, right? Anybody that has a coded doorknob or door lock, it's not silent. It's very noisy, quite frankly. It has a clear motor in it to unlock it. So, I'm just thinking, I try to think about myself and the experiences I have, and it's like, at night when I'm here and there's no TV on, I can literally hear a pin drop in this house. I'm deaf. I only have one working ear. My right ear is completely there is no sound. I do not hear anything. 100% of my hearing is missing out of my right ear. And I can hear a pin drop here. I can definitely hear if somebody was coming in on my coded lock, locking or unlocking the door. But the problem is I'm here in a 1,200 square foot home, and they have over a 3,000 square foot home, almost 3 times the size of my home. So what I hear in that next room, would they hear all the way in their room? You do have noise obstructions. We've talked about it in the past. The walls. I'm sorry. I'll try to talk a little lower. I talk loud because of my hearing. A lady said yesterday she has a keypad like Katie's, and she found out yesterday that they can get a record to show the activity of the locks. No way. Mine's not like that, I don't think. Mine's had dead batteries, and I just used the key for it, but I probably should change the batteries, but I lost the paperwork that tells me how to program it. So, tomato. What do you do? What do you do? Right? Wow, that's interesting. I don't know, because I don't think they put that lock. They might have. No, Chris would definitely have put that lock on. He's not going to let as soon as they bought it, I guarantee they changed out all the locks. Seth, I need to speak to you or Terry, Lynn, or someone who is searching. I have called TBI and FBI with information. Well, if it went to the FBI, then, hopefully it'll get where it needs to be. I don't hear the lock when my kids come and go. Okay, well, that's good to know. I can tell you I hear mine. Yes, the lady didn't know you could get records of them locks until she called and asked the company. Well, Seth, that might be some interesting stuff. You might want to pass that on to the investigators. They may have been like me and didn't know that they could get that. Mine didn't tell me what time the housekeeper came in and left with her code. Mine didn't tell me, or did? I'm just getting in. Sorry if oh, it's okay. It's nice to see you. Betty, you can Google the instruction. Oh, good idea. But would I know what maybe it has it on it somewhere. You're right. I probably should do that. Thank you, Christina. That's a great idea. I'm always online, but I forget to go check online. But I did watch how to change the starter out in the riding lawnmower. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm probably going to do what I did this morning. Wake up, do legal paperwork until my head spins, and then need to change, change of scenery, and then go out there and tear the frickin' lawnmower apart. Maybe we'll go live while I'm cussing and throwing my tools. I'm telling you, when I work on the car or it's when I work out in the heat and I got to turn a wrench, okay? If things don't go my way, I start throwing my tools and cussing. Don't ask me where it comes from. You know what? My dad used to get frustrated and throw his tools and cuss. Okay? So the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. There you have it. There you have it. Now you know why, right? When I called Memphis FBI on Sunday, they said they didn't know about Sebastian, but they would pass the information along. Well, that's kind of cryptic. I mean, if you're going to go all in, I mean, Seth's in the chat. If you'd like to go ahead and send, or if you want it confidential, you can send it to my email. I promise you, I'll make sure it gets over. Betty, I'm sitting in the exact love seat. Oh, are you? I love this thing. I love this thing. It's practically brand new. It's been in the house for several years, but it's practically brand new because I never watch TV out here. I never hang out. You know, I had just bought it right before I divorced my husband. Yeah, I remember making my husband come back and help me put my dishwasher in after I kicked him out. You know, we're friends. We're friends now, you know. I just don't like it when he drinks liquor. You know, I really don't. It was just a toxic relationship, but you know, he's still when he's sober, he's a great guy. Betty, it's funny how that. You know what's so funny is when I was working for the attorneys, I moved in there with an ex-boyfriend, but I remember when I got the place, like I wouldn't get a 2-bedroom because I something told me it wasn't going to work out with this Yahoo. And so, you know, I made sure that everything in the apartment I could afford, you know, whatever. So back in them days, Big Lots had living room packages. You could get a love seat, a couch, the table, the end tables, and the lights for $598 for a whole living room set. Now, albeit it's microfiber, it was cheap, but that was huge for somebody like me that just moved into that had an apartment that was way too expensive and, trying to make it look nice. It was brand new furniture. $598 in tax for a whole living room with a couch, a love seat, 2 end tables, and a freaking coffee table. You couldn't beat it. And then I ended up, and this is back when Friends was really big. And so I ran into my neighbor next door, which was my age. And she had her boyfriend, and her boyfriend lived there, but he worked night shifts. So she was kind of there by herself. And so we kind of befriended each other. And when I walked into her house, it looked like my house. She had the same vacuum cleaner, the same furniture. I'm like, oh no. And her and I started laughing because who gets the same stuff, right? And she was sweet. She was sweet. We used to always do, I think Friends was on every Thursday night. And I remember we used to do Friends with Friends. And she cooked dinner one week. I cooked dinner the other week, and she'd come over to my house to watch Friends, or I'd go over to her house and watch Friends. We just did stuff. It was kind of fun. My brother lives with me, and I told him if he drinks, don't come home. I can tell you, I will not like I did that with my cousin. He got sober, and he needed a place to stay, and I let him stay at the house, and then he started closet drinking, and then things started getting hairy, then things started missing, and I'm like, what's going on? And then he got pissed off, and then he wanted to beat me up. Just like, just leave, please. It's just the best for the both of us, and our relationship hasn't been much since, but yeah, yeah. And he's the one that let the, he was leaving the house, and he had a snake, and he gets a snake to where he's going, and then he calls me and he says, I just wanted to let you know, I think there might be a snake in your house. Really? I told you not to bring that damn thing here. He goes where he's going and he can't find a snake. Well, it's like a year and a half later. I had some water damage. So an ex-boyfriend came over and took out a piece of drywall out of the closet to let it air dry. And so I had my dog Scooby at the time, and he's a little pit bull, and all of the sudden something goes over my foot and the dog starts barking, and I look down and it's a freaking snake, and I am screaming. And when I say screaming, I'm talking about screaming, blood curdling screams. Blood curdling screams. I'm on my bed. I'm jumping up and down. I don't know what kind of snake it is. And it didn't come out of the wall. It went into the wall. And I wouldn't come off my bed until my father came over. I would not come off that bed until my father came over. I wanted him to check the house, make sure there was no more snakes. And then as soon as that he's like, seal the wall. I'm like, what? They're not going to leave this thing in here with me, are you? Seal the wall. If you don't want it to come back out, you're going to need to seal that wall. I'm like, what? I was trying to say I believe you because others say they have told them too about FBI not knowing about the case. That's insane. Well, Seth has been working with the FBI, y'all. So, you can't. It's like Kingsport Police Department, right? When Olivia and I were out there for Layla Santinello, there were cops that knew about this, and there were people in the community that knew that she was missing. But when we went up and talked to a few cops, they had no earthly idea that there was a teenage girl missing, which is sad. You would like to, every missing person be out, know about the missing person in their community. But it's not surprising to me that law enforcement doesn't all know unless you keep it out there about these cases. In smaller communities like Hendersonville, everybody knows what color poop you have, So everybody knows. Everybody knows. I hope and pray that Sebastian is found one day. He will be able to tell his story. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to be going through. I know I moved a lot of stuff over into the iCloud file, but I need to start going through it. I mean, we got a lot of screenshots from early on in the case that we may have forgotten about that might enlighten us a little bit. When we get into this thing where everything is so chaotic and so crazy, like I always say, and in these cases, we have to go back to the beginning and work our way back again. And I think that that's something we're going to have to do, because every time we listen to these interviews, every blessed time we listen to these interviews, we get something else out of it we didn't hear before. This last one, we've all watched Smiley's interview over and over and over again. And now we even though we heard them talk about the noise, we didn't apply it. So now we have, Sebastian doesn't go outside without his socks and shoes on. He doesn't like dirt. He doesn't really care for dirt under his feet. He doesn't like bugs. He doesn't like dirty water. He has sensory issues, and he doesn't like loud noises. We keep filling up a list of every reason why this kid would never run away from home. And our list of the reasons why he would run away from home is bare as what. So, I'm about to buy one of those boards that Cold Justice has. I'm ready to start and just start building this freaking case, you know, because I just feel like Sebastian should have been on a video somewhere. I feel like Sebastian's scent should have been picked up at some point. I feel like the house should have been made a crime scene, and so should his bedroom, or you know, at minimum his bedroom. I have so many things I would have preferred being done differently. I know that I'm not law enforcement, and law enforcement's going to do whatever the heck law enforcement is going to do, but it's like, damn, you know, this is a kid. This is a freaking kid. It's like, you know, so... All right, guys, if you guys have any information about Sebastian Rogers, please reach out to the FBI. Please reach out to the FBI if you know anything about this case. It could be something stupid. It could be, you know, you were driving along the highway and you saw this. You were at a gas station and you saw this. These cases, believe it or not, many are solved because somebody didn't realize that they had the missing piece, that little nugget of information that means absolutely nothing to them, but means the whole world to this case. If you remember anything, if you heard rumors about anything, you know, of substance, don't be calling every freaking crazy crackpot rumor you hear, but of substance, a person, what, who, when, where, how, you know, whatever. You call it in. If you know somebody with first-hand knowledge and they won't call it in, you call it in and blab their name. And if it hurts your friendship, well, $50,000 should help fix the problem. Just saying. So, please, this case needs this. We have an autistic boy that is missing. He's been missing for a significant amount of time. He didn't ask to be missing, but he is. And we have got to help find him, because at the end of the day, his dad's going crazy. And his mom seems too happy for comfort for me. Take it for what you will. Take it for what you will. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, be kind to one another. God bless.